Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. So, this reading is a bit different than the readings that I normally do on this channel. This reading is going to be looking into the last thoughts, feelings of Jorge Torres from the Sarah Boone case, the victim in the Sarah Boone case out of Orlando, Florida. For those who are familiar with it, for those who are not, I'll probably leave a description of it in the box below. But I want to know what was in his mind. Like, how did he feel about the relationship? I think everybody wants to know, why did he stay despite all the mutual abuse between them, all the times the police were called. From my understanding, he didn't have much of a record before his relationship with Sarah outside of like traffic tickets. So what was it that made him stay? How did he really feel? So if this kind of thing is something that you would be interested in, let's jump right into it. In regards to Jorge Torres, how did he feel about Sarah and their relationship in those last days? What was what was his frame of mind? What was his thinking? How did he truly feel about this relationship? So it's very interesting that George is coming up as the King of Cups, or in this deck as the King of Ankhs, because usually denotes a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. And it's my understanding that George was an Aquarius. So with this particular suit, it has to do with emotions, feelings, love, relationships. So him coming up as this tells me that he really did love her truly. Um, Despite everything that was going on in the relationship, him showing up as the King of Cups indicates that there was a strong emotional tie to her, despite everything, despite all of the conflict, the toxicity, and any of us who have ever been in relationships with people that have certain narcissistic traits knows how difficult that can be to withstand all of that in that type of environment. But here we have the Lover's card. This further confirms what I was just thinking. And it's crazy. Look at the card in particular. You'll see Aset or Isis, how she's holding him. She's almost coddling him, comforting him. I wonder, is that what he really needed? Is that what he really desired? There was a couple of Facebook posts that I saw how he described love. It seems like he felt things really deeply, from my own personal opinion, and it could have been where he stayed because he really craved this kind of intimacy, and maybe she gave that to him in the beginning. Maybe she portrayed this type of loving character to him in the beginning, and over time the mask slipped. And here is the tower. Here is where everything fell apart. And the tower denotes something that takes place. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is crazy. Look at the stairs and look at the person that is on the card. Look at their position. It's actually giving me goosebumps, because remember how a lot of people think that she put him in that suitcase upstairs and pushed him down the stairs. Look at where his head is in this card. This is crazy. But getting back to the actual meaning of the card, the tower is something that falls apart unexpectedly. Things actually something that falls apart that very much so needed to fall apart. So it's entirely possible that despite his love and the attachment and possible trauma bonding they had together, deep in his heart, he knew that this had to end at some point, that this needed to fall apart. The whole structure needed to come down. And I wonder if that played a role in his demise. But that's crazy. Expect to see evidence of that, maybe firm evidence of that in the trial. And see, here is the real George, the King of Swords. This the sword suit is air signs, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, and George is an Aquarius. This feels like George coming into his real power, maybe remembering who he is, maybe starting to remember his worth. Not saying that obviously he wasn't out of it because he was there that night and they were still drinking. But I think he was starting to awaken within himself. This particular card is represented by Ramses the Great. He's known as one of the greatest pharaohs of Egypt. And I really do think that this signifies his mindset at the time in that last day or in those last days with her. He was maybe starting to push back more and maybe realize within himself that this is not good. I really don't deserve this. What's up underneath the deck, which is what's going on in the background, the 10 of scepters or the 10 of wands. There was a lot of anguish in this connection, and he was extremely stressed out, extremely burdened. That that is what this card means. It's burnout, literal burnout. And he just everybody has their breaking points, and it seems like he was at his. And see, the 7 of scepters, this is fighting back, basically. And not to say he didn't fight back, because he seems like he did fight back, which is why he kept getting in trouble in the relationship. This card indicates strength and resilience and facing a challenge, right? And it seems like I wonder if he was actually voicing more, I don't want to do this. I'm getting very tired of it. And actually looking to leave, which is what this next card looks like. He's looking out and seeing what else is out there. I wonder if that is why in the video she's like, oh, that's what I feel like when you cheat on me. Because he may have been looking to get out of this relationship finally. Finally, he's at the point where he's like, I have to go. I have to get away. And you know what? Yeah. That last card, that warrior of Ankhs, that is somebody coming towards somebody else with some type of romantic offer. So I wonder if they will find evidence of him actually talking to someone else. We'll see. I want to look more into this King of Swords here and see what's the energy behind that in George's head about him coming into his power. Let's see. Ace of Cups and Five of Swords. So aces are new beginnings, further letting me know that he really was looking to start anew somewhere. Five of Swords can denote toxicity. So it basically is saying that I need a new relationship because, like I said, remember, Ankhs or Cups, and that suit indicates romantic relationships or relationships, period. Love, it can mean a new love beginning. And the Five of Swords is like, I want this new relationship. I want something new. I am tired of this toxicity. Five of Swords is giving me a lot of her energy that I am going to get my way no matter what. That's the meaning of this card is no matter if everybody else has left the battlefield, where are you going? I still want to stand here and fight. If you look at the card too, people are leaving the battlefield, but there he still is with his sword there, still wanting to fight. And I think George just wanted to be loved and he did not want any more of that. He was exhausted. He had his fill of it. And boom, the Queen of Ankhs or the Queen of Cups. Remember, we're still in this love and emotion suit. This can indicate a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, and how I know for sure this is two different women because we have two queens here. Queen of Ankhs or Cups and Queen of Swords. And I believe Sarah is an Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, I misspoke. I think she's a Libra. I think she's a Libra because she's 1010. Yes, she's a Libra. So she's an air sign. This is two different women, two different personalities. Wow. This is more than likely going to end up as another reading because it's just so much here. The Empress, this is a new beginning. He was looking at, I don't know how far he got with this woman. I don't know if it was just talking on the phone. I'm not sure, but he had hope in this. However, they were dealing with each other. It gave him hope that he had a new start. The Empress is all about new starts, new beginnings, the birth of something. And he might have even looked at her as an empress. And look at there, the two of scarabs or the two of pentacles represents I'm juggling. I don't know which one I want. I don't know what I should do. But the other woman coming up as the Queen of Ankhs can indicate that he's looked at her as more loving, as more caring, and as Sarah as more cold. This is crazy. And then for sure, the Three of Ankhs, this is a third party situation. There was a third party situation. She didn't just all of a sudden after 4 years decide that I'm just going to throw you down the stairs. Even though with this kind of abuse escalating like that, it was never going to end well. But this third party situation, this was the catalyst, I feel, amongst other things. But this may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know how serious this was. Like I said, it could have just been DMing, texting, inboxing, flirting, but she didn't like it one bit. I believe she knew about it. And it's a reason why she said that in that video. And I believe they will find evidence to that. And hopefully we'll see it in court if that really is the case. I wholeheartedly believe it is. So I want to look at some specifics when it comes to this dynamic between these two. And yeah, let's narrow some things down when it comes to George and Sarah in these last days of this relationship, the dynamics of it, sword and rose, clarity and truth, revelations. See, this is I love you, but I'm not doing this anymore, basically. And the revelations thing, I believe that was on both parts. I believe he was starting to gain clarity and come into truth about the nature of this situation that he found himself stuck in. And he started taking steps to step away from it. And I believe she started getting clarity on maybe some of his extracurricular activities. And she had her own revelations. And she admitted herself she needs control. So, and see, look here, intuition. What is this here? Intuition and partying. Does this not describe exactly Sarah? This was basically their environment, not being serious. In regards to her, it's not lost on me that it's a female in this card in particular, drinking, not taking life seriously. I don't have to work. I can just live off of alimony and I don't have to really do anything except for what I want to do, having a good time. Living in the moment. I think living in the moment is what got her in this situation. And to begin with, this card coming up also lets me know, obviously, as we all know, that alcohol played a huge role in it. This is just a confirmation. And that living in the moment, she probably did not mean to do it to him. She probably did not mean to unalive him, but she was entirely too drunk and in the moment to really care, to do anything to prevent or to save him or to rescue him, to prevent this tragedy from happening. The intuition is also that gut feeling that he's up to something, I believe, and it came to a head. Look at this. The death card. The relationship is over. No second chances. What's dead is dead. I mean, if that doesn't move you, I don't know what will. The fact that this card even came up as a part of the story just lets me know that everything we're seeing is pretty much, you can probably count on this being what actually happened and was the case. She may have not planned for this to happen, but in that very moment, she wasn't going to do anything about it. Look here, snake, deception, shady. She looked at him as this. It's in my personal opinion that she found messages, communications with him and another woman or other women. She looked at him as a snake and she decided that she was going to play with his life and it ended in death. And obviously, we all know this. If you're watching it, especially up to this point, you've been following this case. But this is just confirmation, the cards that are appearing in this reading. You lied to me, you deceived me, so you deserve what you got. This crossroads, she came to it, she made a decision. In my opinion, I get why they're doing second degree, but in my opinion, first degree would work. If I was on that jury, I would do first degree because, like they say, intent can be made, premeditation can be made in a moment. And she most definitely probably did not plan, but in that moment, living in that moment, she decided, I'm just going to leave you there. You don't deserve to come out. You don't deserve to come out. You deceived me. So therefore, you deserve this. All of this is confirmation of that. And it's just so incredibly sad. That death card is very jarring. Like this she determined that this was going to be his fate. And then she not so carefully crafted this this dumbass story to the police. Like I don't know. It's just crazy. So I want to take a look into the shadow of George and his thoughts and his feelings. Like I said, I'm fascinated on what would make him stay all that time in such toxicity. So I want to just take a peek into maybe what's up underneath the surface as far as his shadow, what nobody else could see, maybe what he was too ashamed to maybe say. So, what was in the shadow of this connection and why did George decide to endure in it and stay in it? Like maybe some of the darker nuances of this. Look at there. This reminds me of in the interrogation where she said he would literally have smoke coming out of his ears because he couldn't do 50 things and I could. But seriously though, that speaks for itself that this card, this combustion card, is their entire relationship, is it not? Right? I feel like I'm in his energy. He had a lot of anger. We don't know him. We only know what we saw, in the little bits and pieces we saw from different body cam footage and whatnot. But he had a lot of anger inside of him. And it could not have been easy being in that house with somebody like that. I'm definitely going to do more readings on this because it's a lot. But he had so much anger and I don't know. Anger can become addictive as well. I think he was addicted to everything that had to do with this with Sarah. The alcohol part, the rage, the trauma, the toxicity, all of it, right? And then look, I just said toxicity poison, and it's a bottle. This relationship was literally poison, and I don't know if he knew. Like I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but this is why I will do further readings because I want to look deeper into it, spend a little bit more time with it. But this relationship was poison. It was his poison. She was literally like this bottle of poison. And it's very sad that he most definitely didn't know that when he first met her, I wouldn't think. Even look at the energy coming from the bottle. Look at how it's like a toxic energy coming from the bottle and it kills everything that surrounds it. This was her. This was this relationship. But the poison bottle is still here. And he can't deny this poison bottle and he can't deny his rage either. I feel like she invoked these feelings within him that probably would have just sat there if not poked and prodded at. But the release, like that combustion card, the release of this rage, I feel like he became addicted to. It's just all so sad. And there's so many people all around the world just that's going through something similar to this. It's unfortunate. Give me one more card, please, on the shadow aspects of this connection with George and Sarah and why he stayed, why he endured this connection and did not try to exit sooner. Let's see. Distortion. And it's a woman in the card. Take a real good look at this card. If you have to pause this video, look at this card. This so much can be said. Their whole relationship was distortion. If you've ever been in any kind of relationship, whether it's a family, like it's a mom, a dad, a sibling, or romantic relationship with somebody who has this kind of personality type, you literally live in distortion. I personally have my ex-husband was narcissistic, malignant narcissist, and you live in distortion. You don't know which end is up. They try very hard. They work overtime at making you feel like your understanding of things is not correct and that everything you once knew, believed is not correct. And what they're saying, no matter how wrong or distorted, is what's correct, and you're foolish for not knowing that already. He just lived in distortion, man. I hate that this is how his last days were. I hate that this was his existence. I can literally just feel it. But the short answer of it is he lived and existed in distortion. And I can bet everything I have that she worked overtime in that house, letting him know that what he felt and thought was wrong and was incorrect. And just like she portrays him as just this monster, she would probably let him know that and let him know he was a monster and that everything was wrong with him and he was the problem and not her. I'm going to leave it here for right now because I feel like I feel like there's so much more and this is already a long video, but if you made it this far, thank you so much. And if you have any kind of suggestions on what you would want me to look into next, I would greatly appreciate it. And thanks for coming by. Peace.